Hello and welcome to another playbook. Today's topic of discussion is the shape of your product roadmap. Now, uh, it's an interesting topic because a lot of companies, both young and old, struggle to build product roadmaps. Uh, and the way they deploy people, the way they deploy their engineering resources, their product and design resources, is always a source of contention. So let's jump in and see what I mean by product roadmap shapes. So think about it. When there are essentially initiatives on your product roadmap. Now, the first set of initiatives are what we call KTLO, keeping the lights on, right? So this is things like these are things which allow your product to exist. So solving tech debt, keeping existing features live and running, fixing bugs, etc. All fall under this category. So this is the bread and butter part of your roadmap, right? So keeping the lights on, that's the first category. The second category is short-term investments that you make in your product. This is about improving, the functionality that already exists in your product, or building new features that move the needle for your most important metrics. But these are essentially smaller investments over a shorter period of time for continuously improving your product. And then there's a third category, which is moonshots. Big, hairy, audacious goals, right? Investments that can lead to massive step function jumps in your existing functionality or completely build new functionality, new tent poles for your products and new tent poles for metrics, right? Now, the proportion of your team that spends time on each of these three categories, right? So keeping the lights on, short-term investments, and moonshots depends very much on the stage of your existence, but also on the size of your team, right? So if your team is very small, the chances are you can't do all these three things. So as you grow larger as a company, as an organization, you can actually distribute people across these three things. But it is also very dependent on the stage of your organization, whether you're early stage, post PMF growth stage, or you're an established organization, a larger organization. So let's look at what the shapes of these roadmaps are. Now, this is the shape of the roadmap of an early stage company. The lights haven't yet been turned on. You're about to turn on the lights. So a very small portion of your people are going to be focused on KTLO and short-term investments. You've not found product market fit. So pretty much everyone is building a brand new product from scratch. The very fact that your company exists is a moonshot, right? Is a very big deal. So most of the people are on the top of this inverted pyramid and they're all working on getting towards product market fit. And this is typically how any new company would be organized. Once you've found product market fit, you would realize that the shape of your roadmap and the way people are distributed quarter over quarter starts resembling a cylinder. So keeping the lights on takes up about a third of your people, right? Short-term investments, continuously improving things, the functionality of your product, the features of your product takes up another third. But you still have a long way to go to really, really succeed. You found product market fit, but you're in growth stage. So you're still heavily investing in moonshots and in big audacious goals in building step function jumps, right? So the shape of your roadmap essentially starts looking like a cylinder. But then you become a large company. And when I say a large company, either your employee base becomes really big, your revenue becomes really big. At this point, if you have a very large employee base, even if 10% of your people are working on moonshots, that's still a very big deal. But keeping the lights on becomes very, very critical, right? Because you already have a large revenue base, you already have a large business, and just keeping this business up and running, keeping this machinery up and running takes up a chunk of your time. And short-term investments sort of make up the middle part of it. Now, the mistake that a lot of companies make is that even though they are in mid-stage, which is that they've just found product market fit and they're still in that growth stage, their roadmap starts looking like a pyramid, which means that even when they should be spending a lot more effort on moonshots, they actually try and spend all their efforts on KTLO and keeping the lights on, and fair amount of effort on short-term investments, but stop thinking about big long-term investments, big audacious goals, trying to build new tent poles. And that's disastrous. So you will sometimes find that companies make this mistake of trying to figure out where is it that they're in the life cycle of these roadmaps. And a lot of companies start building pyramids, building their roadmaps in the shape of pyramids, even before they've reached the stage of being a very, very large company. The reverse is also true. The most innovative large companies actually restructure themselves every few years, every few quarters, and try and get as close to being a cylinder as possible. Why? Because sure, keeping the lights on is the most important thing because that's your revenue base. But if you're an innovative company, you want to continuously grow your business. So you want to invest in short-term investments, but you also want to inordinately invest, invest a very large chunk of your people, of your resources, of your time in big, hairy, audacious goals. So this is a bit that one needs to remember. You need to know in which stage of growth you're in. Your early stage, you have to be an inverted pyramid. You're in mid stage, you're trying to, you've just found product market fit, you are a cylinder. But make sure that you don't make the mistake of building a pyramid too soon. That is the hallmark of a very evolved company, a very evolved product. But even the most evolved of companies do try and force themselves back to this way of thinking like a cylinder so that they can continuously innovate and not lose out, right? This is why the shape of your roadmaps is so critical. So I hope you enjoyed this playbook and I hope you've been enjoying this channel. Do subscribe to the channel and see you back here again for the next playbook. Take care.